鈴木さん、ありがとうございます。鈴木さん、いつもありがとうございます。はい。毎年ですね、IBS に来たらですね、インドとアフリカものすごいすごい市場なんですが、やはりあれですね、IBS1万人来ると言いながら、なかなかもうちょっと本当は人がね来てると思いますけどね。まあでもせっかくですので来ていただいた方には素晴らしいこの魅力的な市場2つを理解いただいて、今日はお土産話持って帰っていただきたいのとですね、今日頑張ってインドとアフリカからゲストを来ていただいたので、本当に素晴らしい方々来てますので、皆さん後で、セッションの方を期待いただきたいと思います。私シングルマスターでございます。シンガポール在住ですが、インドとアフリカ結構気合い入れて行かせていただいております。
はい、アンカバードファンドの寺久保と申します。普段アフリカのスタートアップ企業を支援するベンチャーキャピタルやっております。よろしくお願いします。
はい。で一応ですねとはいえ皆さんもネットでいろいろ情報を取っていると思いますけれども、インドアフリカ今どうなっているのというところをまず日本語で、我々2人がですね約10分かけてご説明します。でその後英語でですね、ゲストとともにセッションをやりたいと思います。はい。はい。でまずインドですね。皆さんインド市場興味ある方、投資でもインド OKOK、ありがとうございます。はい。インドいいですね。インドなんといっても今世界で最も注目されている、市場です。土地柄的に、世の中のスペース X とかですねAI とかすごいありますけど、皆さんインドの成長率、そして株式市場で次々と IPO が起こっている、ものすごいですね富が蓄積されている、そして世界のリーダーシップを発揮しているインドでございます。はい。簡単にクイックにですね数字をベースにおさらいしていきたいと思います。まず人口がですね世界一、そして世界の第4位の経済大国、もう止まることを知らないこの人口の増加も含めてですが、なんといっても経済の、大きさがですね加速して成長しております。今のネットユーザーだけでも10億人、人口はどんどん増えて14.6億人、この間僕去年IBS で13億人ぐらいって言ってたんですけど、なんか今14.6億人という統計値だったということで私はびっくりしておりますが、でネット人口10億人、これはですね日本の実に10倍の人たちがですねスマホに触っているということですね。そしてなんといっても IPO を支える市場分配世界第5位、 IPO してもですねどんどん今売り買いが活発で、かなりの富が生まれております。それからですねユニコーンも131社、日本でもユニコーンたくさん作ろうとしてますが、インドすでに131社、それからですね、1人頭の GDP2934 ドル、そして皆さん平均年齢見てください、29歳ですよ。皆さん平均年齢が、もうますますの Z 世代も含め活発です。それからですねマジックナンバー3000ドルって皆さんちょっと何が3000ドルかなんかイメージつきますか？そして Z 世代の消費8600億ドル、皆さん円で想像つきますか？なんと10代後半から30代に至るまでの方々が1年間で使う消費額100兆円です。100兆円、日本の国家予算並みに皆さん消費に回すのがインドです。そしてマジックナンバー3000の意味は、これはですねホッケースティック現象と言いますが、3000を越してくると強烈に消費が加速してくると、いよいよここから消費が爆発、ちょっとデフレ脱却し始めている日本で想像つきにくいですけども、インドに行きますと本当に皆さんたくさん物を買われてます。中間層も、どんどん富裕層が増えてきていて、この人口ピラミッド見ていただくと、本当にZ 世代が非常に多いです。そしてクイックコマース、皆さんコンビニに慣れている日本人の方は想像つかないと思いますが、インドの場合特に都市部オーダーして10分でトイレットペーパー1個が届きます。トイレしててやばいトイレットペーパーがないと時にクイックコマースでパッとタップすると10分後に配送されるという、これによりですね、今日登壇いただいている方ベンチャーキャピタルの人もですね、いやもうクイックコマースなしではもう俺は生活できないというぐらい、もう本当にクイックコマースに慣れている、そういう、状況です。市場もですね400億ドル、になっていくと、もう兆円規模にですね、なっていく、状況です。はい。キーワードとしては消費が爆発、Z 世代、クイックコマース、そして、 忘れていけないのが地方の都市の大成長ぶりです。はい、そういう意味ではクイックコマース、そしてテック IPO、インドますます、ブームなんですけども、それにも増してテック人材ものすごいです。大学に行くとですね、しのぎを削ってテック人材がどんどん、出てます。で、政府の後押しもものすごいです。 AI はアメリカと中国に先行されましたけども、モディ首相負けじとインド固有のデータ固有の素晴らしいですね、地域の、状況も含めてインド固有の AI を進化させると言っております。ますますインド目が離せない状況です。ユニコーン数ニコンだけでこんなにたくさんあります。はい、テックの IPO 爆発で今、230社、今年来年とパイプラインで230社上場、それから、これサマリーですね、グローバルリーダー、テック人材、そして強力な政治リーダーシップに経済成長、クイックコマースに、Z 世代の消費の爆発100兆円、この辺がインド大サマリーでございます。はい、この辺もサマリーですね。はい、面白い分野としては僕らが選んでいる6分野、フィンテック、コンシューマー、AI、エンタープライズ、ヘルステック、そして、クライメット、EV、この辺はですね、インドでものすごい皆さんが知ってらっしゃる方は知ってるんですけども、知らない方、大成長がすごい分野、この分野6個です。はい、ということで、これだけはぜひ覚えて帰ってくださいということで書いておりますが、ここでアメリカにスイッチしたいと思います。お願いします。
インド凄まじいですね。はい、ちょっとインドに負けないように僕からもアフリカのクイックサマリー5分でさせていただきます。一言で言うと、人口成長とともに伸びる、世界最後の、巨大市場アフリカになります。次のインドに、なるべくですね、アフリカ大陸全体、成長しながら今、頑張っております。これ簡単にちょっとアフリカ全体の数字としてイメージしてもらいたいんですけど、さっきインド29歳平均年齢っていう話がありましたが、アフリカ今19歳です。簡単に言うと本当に若い人たちが、2050年世界4分の1の人口を占める、その時にですねアフリカ、超、大消費時代を迎えようとしていると、そこに向けた今あらゆるインフラを、スタートアップが作っている、そんな市場になります。もう人口状態ですね、こんな綺麗なピラミッドを、アフリカしてます。ちょっと日本と比較すると、本当に違いが分かるかなと思うんですが、こういった若い人たちがですね、これから2100年まで、さらに伸び続けるとアフリカは言われております。はい、で僕アフリカって一言で言ってるんですけど、実は全部で54カ国、ありまして、国によって全然違います。ただですね、アフリカ上位10カ国 GDP 上位10カ国で全体の、76% を占めるというふうになってますので、おのずと見るべきマーケットは、絞られてくるかなと、思っております。はい、その中で特に注目している、3つの国、今日お伝えしたいなと思います。今回ナイジェリアから、スペシャルゲスト、来ておりますが、ナイジェリアはですね人口も 2.4 億人、いる、アフリカ最大人口を抱えるような、国になっています。インターネット人口もすでに世界7位ですね。首都のラゴス、経済都市は、人口2000万人が住む、巨大都市に成長しています。もう1個エジプトですね。エジプトは北アフリカ、ですが、すごく、アラビックな文化を変えた国でして、アフリカと中東をつなぐ、ゲートウェイになっています。人口1億2000万人、です。カイロがですね、エジプトって94、国土の 4% に国民の 94% が、住んでいると言われるぐらいすごく密集した、国でして、都市化がかなり、の勢いで進んでいます。中東、北アフリカの中でも重要マーケットというふうに見られていまして、最近だとサウジアラビアとか UAE からの投資っていうのが活発に進んでいる地域でもあります。でもう一つ、東アフリカのケニアですね。ケニア1カ国としてはそこまで大きな国ではないんですけど、脱炭素先進地域というふうに呼ばれてまして、再エネ比率 94%、国の電力がですね、主に地熱、風力、水力で、賄われてまして、クリーンなエネルギーで国を発展させていこうというような、取り組みをやってます。なので、それこそ EV のスタートアップ企業だったりとか、農業の企業だったりとか、そういったクライメートテックと言われるセクターのスタートアップがかなりの盛り上がりを見せています。この3カ国だけでアフリカ全体のスタートアップ投資の半分を占めるというのが現状になっています。 はい、でまさになんで今アフリカなのかというところなんですけど、デジタル化で、リープフロッグと言われるんですけど、一足飛びに成長しています。モバイルインターネット人口が過去10年で大幅に伸びてきてます。背景としては通信環境が大幅に改善されてまして、今でいうと都市部でいうと 4G、5G、全然つながります。最近だとスターリンク、めちゃくちゃアフリカ頑張ってまして、どんな田舎の地域でも、ネットワークつながるようなそんな環境が整えられています。もう一個はですね、中国系の格安スマホ、トランションという会社が、アフリカに特化したスマホメーカーとして、スタートしまして、アフリカのシェア今 49%、スマホのメーカーとしては世界シェア、世界第5位の企業と成長しています。こういったプレイヤーの登場により誰でも情報にアクセスしてインターネットを使っていろんなものにサービスを利用できるという環境が整ってきているので、まさにスタートアップが爆発的に成長しています。アフリカ市場の特徴としては圧倒的な課題がビジネス機会になるというのがアフリカの特徴でして、それこそ銀行口座持たない、銀行口座持ってないけど今みんなスマホ持ってるからデジタルで銀行口座持とうとか、電力がないから、大型の発電を作るんじゃなくて分散型のソーラーシステムを作って家庭の電気を賄うとかですね、あとそもそも住所がなくて物が届けられないっていう場所ではあるんですけど GPS ベースに物を届けるという新しい仕組みをですねテクノロジーで作っていくっていうのがこのアフリカスタートアップの大きなチャンスになります。まさにスタートアップがアフリカ経済の成長を牽引しているというのが簡単に言えるかなと思います。アフリカスタートアップの投資ですね、過去10年大体14倍ぐらいに伸びてます。すごく大きかったのがですね、それこそ真下さんが投資したナイジェリアのペイスタックと言われる決済の会社ですね、ここがストライプに200ミリオンで買収されたことをきっかけに世界の投資家がどんどんアフリカに入ってですね、また新しい企業家が生まれてっていうエコシステムがどんどん回るようになっていったというのがすごく大きなターニングポイントだったかなと思います。はい、セクターでいうとフィンテック、クライメットテック、この辺が特に注目されてまして、簡単に言うと、注目すべき領域としてはですね、16億人の金融包摂、ステーブルコイン革命を作るフィンテックの領域、これから迎える次世代の巨大市場を支えるためのリテール、e コマース、物流、こんな領域、あとはクライメットテック、最近中国とかヨーロッパもアフリカの農業、エネルギーかなり投資してますが、世界100億人時代を迎えるにあたって世界の供給を賄うようなエネルギー、食料安定供給というのが一つ大きなテーマになるかなと思っています。はい、アフリカ今ユニコーン全体で9社存在します。ほとんどがナイジェリアフィンテックでして、ナイジェリアのフィンテックは特に注目されている領域になっています。最近はアフリカ初のスタートアップが、それこそヨーロッパに行ったり南米に行ったり東南アジアに行ったり、よりグローバルサウスに事を広げていくというような形で進化もしてまして、アフリカのサービスがアフリカだけじゃなくなっていると、そんな側面も生まれています。はい、スタートアップの EXIT ですね、まだまだこれから EXIT の機会を作っていかなきゃいけないところですが、アメリカに上場する企業が出てきたりとか、ローカルで IPO する企業が出てきたり、あとは100ミリオンを超えるような規模の M&A ができたりですね、そんな形でスタートアップのエコシステム自体がかなり勢いで発展しているというのが簡単なアフリカのクイックサマリーになります。はい、というので、じゃあ続いてインドセッションですね、はい、伺いたいと思います。
大郷さん、ありがとうございます。今から英語でですね、セッション2つご用意してます。インドセッションと、それからアフリカセッションです。それではインドの、ゲスト、お三方お呼びしたいと思います。So, we're going to start India session. First of all, Mr. Avishan Pan, アーガマベンチャーズのファウンディングパートナーの、アブシャント・パンさんです。皆さん拍手をお願いします。はい、続きまして、オーディンキャピタルの、コーファウンダーの、ジェネラルパートナーのクシャル・バージアさんです。はい、そして、エグジミアス・ベンチャーズの、ファウンダー兼マネージングダイレクターのパロ・アガホエさんです。お願いします。Thank you. So we're gonna have the India session. So welcome to Japan. I think all of you First time Japan, right?
Yes.
Wow, that's great. So how's your feeling? Japan, okay? Good?
Yes.
Ah,
It's amazing. It's amazing.
amazing. Okay, so maybe we're gonna ask you. I'm gonna ask you the quick intro of yourself. Then later on, I'll ask some questions. Maybe two questions each. Okay? 皆さんお三方ですね。もう今インドの VC たくさんいらっしゃるんですけども、この今 VC の環境の中でもものすごく優秀な方々今回3人来ていただきました。もうフィンテックにすごい特化されてる一番皆さんの舞台のですね、アブシシャンさん、それから、もう本当にいろいろな情報を得て、企業の、大手から、CEO になっていく、そういった起業家、経験者の起業家をすごくネットワーキングしてですね、すごくいい会社さんに、初っ端から投資されている、真ん中にいらっしゃるのはキシャンさん、そして、AI からですね、エンタメに至るまで幅広い分野でアーディステージに投資されているパールさんですね。この3人からちょっとクイックにイントロダクションいただきたいと思います。So, okay, why don't you start the Abhishek?
Hi, my name is Abhishant. We are early stage investors in financial technology based out of Bombay in India. It's been my 20th day in Japan. I came to Japan on 11th of June. Have been traveling across the country. Amazing is what I can say as a feeling. We focus on early stage fintech investments. As a result, a lot of late stage Japanese large financial institutions are co-investors with us, like SMBC, MUFG, Mizuho, DG Daiwa, GMO and others. Look forward to hear more on Japan fintech story. That's it from my side. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So, Kushal, why don't you?
Hi, my name is Kushal. I run a fund called All In Capital. We are now on a second fund, which is a $25 million vehicle. We invest usually the first check in India's best technology founders. We invest across consumer applications, consumer brands, AI companies from India and deep tech companies from India. Across my career, I have backed more than 150 startups in India over the past 10 years. And it's my life's mission to back 1,000 founders from India. Thank you.
Thank you. Pearl, please.
Hello everyone, thank you for having us. I'm Pearl Agarwal, founder of Exenius Ventures. Exenius is a dedicated pre-seed fund where we primarily invest in AI companies across enterprise, consumer, as well as financial services. I'm very glad to be here in Japan. It's my first time, even though we are backed by a Japanese corporate called Mixi. As I've heard a lot about everything that is happening in Japan, super glad to be here.
Thank you so much. Okay, so maybe let me start asking question. Xiao, okay. Xiao, I explained to the audience that India is now booming for the consumption, especially Gen Z. Also, you told me where we had a casual conversation. Without quick commerce, you cannot survive anymore, right? So this is quite dynamic change when I compare the 10 years ago in India. So how do you observe this big change of the India's consumption scene? Also, how do you see the consumer-related venture startup scene? And what's your expectation of the field?
So I was at a friend's place in San Francisco last year and I asked him for a Diet Coke at night and he said, I don't have Diet Coke, I'm out of Diet Coke. And I was like, we don't say that in India anymore. Nobody says I'm out of something, we just take out our phone and order it and it comes in 10 minutes. So we've stopped planning on things like this. We're kind of living in this era of abundance now where we just get things when we want them, which is quite amazing, and that's the main sort of change that quick commerce has brought in. All this started about 10 years back, little under 10 years back. A mobile network called Jio launched in India, which dropped the cost of data 95%. The government then launched UPI, which made it easy to pay anyone online. They launched Aadhaar, which made it easy to identify anyone. They launched Jan Dhan accounts, which gave everybody bank accounts. So they launched GST, which combined India into one uniform tax market. So in around 2016-17, it became very easy to serve the entire country online. And what we hadn't built, which was offline infrastructure, we compensated for that by building world-class digital infrastructure. So what you had is a boom in startups, and the number of paying or online transacting users went from less than 100 million to more than 300 million over the last 10 years. UPI, India's payments network, now does more transactions than Visa. More than 20 billion transactions happen on UPI every month. And while generation 1 of the startups which came out on these were kind of copies of the West, like Flipkart was Amazon of India, Ola was Uber of India. Generation 2 are uniquely Indian models like Blinkit and Zepto and Instamart, which is 10-minute quick commerce. So you can buy anything from toys to diapers to clothes to a poker set online, and it will come in 10 minutes, right? And you have startups like Meesho, which brought the cost of online commerce down. Rapido brought the cost of transport down. So all of this has resulted in a boom of online transacting users. 300 million plus people are buying things online, consuming content online, paying for services online. And what this has also resulted in is a boom in Indian brands. So 10 years back, we used to aspire to buy global brands. Like if somebody was coming back from Japan or from the US, we would ask them to bring something. Now there's a big shift in the way Indians are thinking. They are buying Indian brands. So everything from the shoes you wear, to the clothes you wear, to the cream you apply on your face, to the soap you use, to the cookware you use, there are Indian brands coming up in all of these sectors, and they are riding on quick com rails plus Instagram rails. So people see these products online and they can quickly order them, they can quickly pay for them online. And Indians have become great at marketing these products to the Indian consumer base. So you had an all-round explosion in consumption activity in India, which is fueled by easy credit online, easy payments online, discovery online, and logistics that has also been built out. So yeah, it's been a radical change to watch.
Well, thank you so much for the super great summary of what's going on in consumption market. At the same time, along with the consumption, I just said to Shah, along with the all dynamic change of the consumption, whatever, right? The payment also everything dynamic change, and then for especially the fintech area, question. How do you see the dynamic change? 10 years ago, the fintech, now fintech, most advanced technology in fintech. So how do you observe the dynamic change of the fintech area in India? And how do you foresee the next 10 years fintech area in India? This question to the Abhishek.
Thanks. So I'll possibly divide the journey of India in two parts from a financial services standpoint. First part is between 1994 to 2010-12. That's the part wherein first generation of financial institutions, new financial institutions, fundamentally private financial institutions came into existence. It was in 1994, first private bank came into existence in form of IndusInd Bank, and then the next generation of banking came into India. It is in the same period that you got new generation of banking financial services companies. Infosys created Finacle, which became the core banking software of the world. And as a result of that, new generation value chains came in. In the later part of 2000s is when IMPS came into existence, which became the real-time payment rails as such on which UPI runs today. So that's when that happened. In the same period, during the late 2000s is when the identity piece came into existence in form of Aadhaar, and it is in 2014-15 the piece on Jan Dhan, which is inclusive account and banking for everyone, came into existence. So this was the foundational rail creation that happened in the first decade, the first 15 years of that period. Between 2014 to 2026 is when India moved and transitioned from innovation first value chain, which was the period between 2014 to 2022, to a regulations first market. From financial services point of view, India has moved from innovation first to regulations first between 2022 to 2026. Now what do I see from a 10 years onwards point of view? I think 10 years is a fairly long period. I'll restrict myself to maybe next 5 years. In next 5 years, what will happen is that for the first time in the world, a large economy will transition from the data set being 90% offline to data set being 90% online, which will mean all the footprints in terms of digital payments, in terms of digital credit, in terms of digital insurance, all of that will be fully available online. That will mean that the underwriting value chains will fundamentally shift from what it was, what it is today, to what it will be tomorrow. What Kushal talked about, say around 800 million transactions which are happening today, they will transition to around 1.5 billion transactions happening in 2030. That will mean that the GDP of the country, double of the GDP of the country will happen now through digital payments value chain. Whenever that has happened anywhere else in the world, that has meant that the foundational upliftment of the population transitions from that. So the transitioning period in my mind will be 28 to 2030, when the foundational digital footprints will transform the society, and that's where you will see a significant jump from current around $3,000 per capita to a jump which in my mind should be anywhere between 5,500 to 6,500, 7,000 per capita. That's where the foundational change will happen. I'll stop at this point.
Wow.
This is my brief.
Okay. Okay, all numbers are kind of outrageous compared with the all numbers in Japan, because the country is India is so big, and also number of the transaction base is quite big, and also the speed of the the modification. I mean, new technology is quite fast, right? Okay, so 皆さん消費、そしてそのフィンテックの進化をですね、もう本当に切っても切れない関係にありますが、こちらのスクリーンに出てるですね、通訳の方数字見ていただくと、本当にすごい数字が並んでると思います。とはいえかなりですね、AI に関してはちょっと先ほど僕申し上げたように遅れてるんじゃないかと思ったんですが、急速にキャッチアップしてる AI もありますので、ちょっと今次 AI の方に話していきたいと思います。So about AI, okay, Paul. As I mentioned to the audience previously, the US and China, in terms of LLM, right? So it's totally advanced. But Prime Minister Modi said, "Oh, India not late already. India the specific data or specific situation, right?" So I see the quick catch up with the AI industry. How do you see India's AI so far?
So we are very bullish on India's AI. And it is very accurate that India has not done much in large language models and LLMs. But our view is that you don't have to. China and US have already built a lot of infrastructure, and the pace at which that infrastructure is getting built, you would need billions and billions of dollars to be able to do that in India. But on the other hand, India has an advantage which other countries today don't. It has a huge demographic dividend and a large chunk of the population that is currently using smartphone. There are 950 million plus people today that have access to smartphone that can constantly create data and give that data to large language models to be able to build. And I think that is where India is winning. India is winning in terms of being able to be that data creation hub. Whether it is for robotics, physical AI, where how do you move your hand, how do you pick this up? You have so much labor available in India that on a daily basis they are creating thousands and thousands of hours of data and digital data. More importantly, on top of that, government has now created a $1.5 billion fund to support applied AI. And that is going to be really what drives innovation in India. You have agri population, 1/3 of the entire country that is dependent on agriculture. Till date, you are using dated satellite and human labor to collect data in agriculture. All of that moves to AI. Education is still not accessible to over 50% of the population. The minute you have AI, you can create teachers, you can create assistants that can teach this population. And that is what will generate billions of dollars of value. And for investors who are coming into India to look at those areas to invest in, as opposed to infrastructure, where I don't think one should think of India as.
Thank you so much. Yeah. So about AI, two gentlemen, I'll ask a question. Okay, for each special area, any interesting example of the AI-related business? Shao, you have a diversified portfolio, and Sean, you have the fintech area, the fintech and AI, and also anything give us a quick example.
Sure. So, for example, we are investors in a company called Supernova. They teach you how to speak English using AI. The biggest issue with learning English is if you don't have someone in your family or friends who can speak English, it's very difficult to practice someone with, right? You can only learn a language by actually practicing it out with. But while saying broken English, you feel embarrassed. So it's not easy to find somebody to practice with. AI fills that gap. So on Supernova, you can speak part Hindi, part English. The AI still understands you, talks back to you, and helps you pick up a language and get you comfortable in it. This app is now doing more than $12 million in ARR. More than 1 million people are using it. Or we've also invested in one more app called Super Living, which is like an AI wellness coach. So if you're dealing with any kind of lifestyle issue, like let's say you're losing hair, or you want to lose weight, or you're pregnant, or you have thyroid or diabetes, this is an AI coach which helps you manage your lifestyle, like your diet, your exercise, your routines, and helps you kind of get better at managing your condition. We invested in this company last year, and in just 1 year they have 10x their valuation. There is a Series A, and they again have hundreds of thousands of users using the product every month. So I think whatever human services are on offer, right? You have teachers, you have wellness coaches, you have financial advisors, you have all the human services were affordable only to the rich, right? But AI is going to make it democratized, and anybody, let's say you had to pay for an offline English teacher, you will pay 5,000 rupees a month. On Supernova, you will get an English teacher which is an AI for 500 rupees a month or 50 rupees a month. So that is democratizing services across India in a big way, and that's where we see the big opportunity in AI in India.
How about you, Abhishek?
Yep, thanks. So the way I see it is specifically from financial services point of view, the biggest use cases are coming in fraud and cybersecurity. Fraud, as digitization of economies grows, both domestically from an Indian context as well as from a global context, the fraud part is also growing, and there in AI specifically is bringing models which are zero knowledge proof. Zero knowledge proof fundamentally means that I don't need to specifically have a data set which comes from centralized sources to be able to identify with whether Abhishant, who is originating a transaction sitting in a hotel in KYOTO, is a fraudulent transactor or not. And that's where foundational differences are coming in. We invested into a company called PayGlocal. PayGlocal is an entity which engages in that as a space, and the entity grew from a 3 million to 100 million in a 12 to 14 months time frame. And that's where the foundational difference comes in, because they are foundationally people who understand fraud as a subject and are in a position to apply the learnings from there. So what will happen from a financial services point of view is you will need a core intersection between tech and people who understand domain to be able to optimize outcomes from financial technology values.
That totally makes sense. So Paul, quickly I'd like to get your opinion about the India IPO situation, because now booming. Japan IPO now unfortunately less, but India more. But most of the Japanese people don't understand the India's IPO is now still booming. So could you share some of the IPO situation in India?
India's IPO has been on fire. And the core reason is that, VC or venture capital in India started in around 2010. By 2020, a lot of the companies had matured. It had been 10 years, they had matured. But there was a massive liquidity problem. None of them knew where to go. Either you had a large player like a Walmart that entered India and acquired Flipkart, which was a unicorn at that point, or you had certain other companies that would struggle to go to the US and list, but no one knew them in the US. That's when the regulator came out and made 3 changes. They reduced the size at which you can list, they allowed investors to start selling from day 0, and 3, they allowed loss-making company also to list. And in the last 5 years, we have seen over 50 startups that have gone on to listing. And while the main board listing is happening, which is where the big companies are listing, another thing which is very interesting about India, which I feel like a lot of investors in India also don't know, is the fact that you have a smaller board called small cap exchange. And in the small cap exchange, if you ever have invested in a company that has become profitable, 1 million, 1.5 million of profitability, but is not growing very fast to become a billion-dollar company, you can still list. And that has made the Indian IPO market today even more robust than the US. In the US, if you're doing $1 million of profitability, you have no option but to get acquired. But in India, investors can immediately see liquidity and they can also see companies grow after liquidity. In fact, there is an interesting company called E2E Network which does AI GPU service. They listed on the small cap board. Within 3 years, their market cap is 4 times of what the entire market cap of SME board at that point was. The small cap board was. And they have been moved to the main board. The investor that thought that this company was not going to return money has returned 10x more than their expectation, which is really the kind of impact that IPOs are creating in the country. And we believe every year you will see more than 10 or 15 startups list. The party is just starting.
Thank you so much. Sorry, we're running out of time. So one question, the comments from the audience that Suzuki-san, you hired India students. I'd like to discuss about the talent in India. She's evidence. She has evidence. Suzuki-san, インド人の方、学生さんとかたくさん来ていらっしゃるじゃないですか。AI とかも日本の方でもすごいこの間おっしゃったんですけど、どうですかインドの方々。
今回インターンシップで3名学生さんを受け入れさせていただいて、名前挙げていいですかね、IIT の学生さんと SRMI という大学の学生さんを受け入れさせていただいたんですが、まずは日本語をすごく早く習得してくれたということと、あともう一つその AI の技術に関しては日本人の学生よりも基礎技術がすごく高くありました。でもう一個はインドの学生さんを日本で雇うというか採用することのメリットっていうのは両方の文化を分かっていてブリッジする人材になってくれるというのは非常に大きなメリットだというふうに考えます。
ということで、actually she hired internship people from India, and also she's the owner of the 40 schools in this country, and then she has a great experience. How do you see the Indian talents from your viewpoint? You're also the smart and nice people, right? But how do you see the people? Just one word, please.
We speak a lot of languages in India, come from very different cultures. India is an amalgamation of different countries itself. So we are taught how to learn new language and very quickly adapt a new culture. And tech is a part of the growing up culture there.
So you mentioned the fast learning of the culture and AI the best.
So most Indian parents place a lot of emphasis on STEM learning. Most kids in India give the IIT entrance exam, and we are kind of used to picking up technical concepts faster, and it's traditionally been a way out of poverty. If you get into an IIT or BITS or a good college, you will get a good job. Now the ambition has shifted from getting a good job to starting a company. And the top 5% talent that comes out of IIT, BITS, our premier technical institutes, they all want to start companies. When I graduated from BITS 13 years back, the ambition was I will go to the US and join Facebook or Google. Now the kids coming out of IIT or BITS, they all want to raise $5 million and they want to start startups. So that's been a big change in their talent. Great.
I think one interesting piece which I saw as a difference between Japan and India is the fact that in India, when you hire an Indian in a Japanese firm, the Indian will start to deploy something on day 2, while the Japanese will prepare for the deployment for 3 months, will make the foundation strong, and then will essentially go for a deployment. So that's a learning phase which an Indian goes when they come to Japan, is to make the foundation strong first and prepare and then go for deployment. So that's a change that an Indian needs to do, and once they adopt, it starts working.
Thank you so much. So quickly, just one word, your expectation to Japan, because please, just one word. Lastly, expectation to Japan, or say hello to Japan. Anybody?
I'm looking forward to more Japanese people coming to India and meeting all the interesting companies there.
I am very keen to know what's happening in deep tech in Japan. So next 1 week, I'm looking forward to that.
If any one of you is planning to explore Indian fintech ecosystem, we host an event called Global Fintech Festival in September. Please do come. We'll be happy to host you.
皆さん9月にグローバルフィンテックフェスティバルをご招待いただけるそうですので、後でこの後親睦会の時にですね、ぜひ行ってください。本当先ほどからですね、いろんなトピックスを短い時間でカバーしたので、皆さんちょっと情報過多になってしまっているかもしれませんが、引き続きこの後アフリカセッションがあって、その後そちらの横で、ネットワーキングありますので、ぜひ話してください。インドは本当に日本と近いし、近いというのは考え方とかも非常に協調性があって日本大好きで、私の友達のですねテックジャパンの西山さん、それ経済産業省にデルト・トーマスさんとか皆さんも頑張ってですね、インドのテックの人材を日本に連れてくるとかも頑張ってやってらっしゃるということでですね、ぜひ皆さんもいろんなきっかけでインドとさらに触れ合うようにしていただけたら幸いでございます。これにてインドのセッション終わりますので、引き続きアフリカセッションよろしくお願いします。はい。
ではここからですね、ちょっとアフリカセッション、やりたいと思います。じゃあ、Let me call the special guest. First of all, the Femi from RAN. 皆さん拍手でお迎えください。Okay, Babatunde from Yara. So, lastly, Rukayat, Madam Grassroots from Register. Okay, thank you very much for coming to Japan. Actually, the last 3 years we struggled to invite Nigerian startup because of the bad visa process. But I'm glad you guys finally to be here in Kyoto and Tokyo next week. How do you feel?
Thank you. It's nice to be here. Thank you, Takuma. We've had a great time in Japan, Tokyo, and just been around the IVS.
Yeah.
Hello, Japan. Great to be here. Like Takuma mentioned, we fought so hard to get the visas to be in Japan, and we're very, very happy to be here. Thank you so much.
Konnichiwa, everyone. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it very well.
Good. Konnichiwa.
Hello. So my name is Rukayat Bello, and I'm happy to be in Japan. Thank you for having us.
Alright. 今回ナイジェリアから、スペシャルなスタートアップの、ファウンダーの皆さんに、お越しいただいてます。皆さんフィンテックの、スタートアップをされて、います。ちょっと各社の、事業紹介と自己紹介簡単に、お願いしたいと思います。So please introduce yourself and your company from Femi.
My name is Femi Iromini. I'm the CEO of Rank. Primarily, Rank is the money app for communities to invest together, to save together, and then to spend money together. Think about what social media has done in terms of connecting people. What Rank is doing is primarily being able to make money social. Think about being able to do money with your family, with your friends. I'm sure we're familiar with the Mura culture in Japan, where people can do money together. So what Rank is doing is digitizing that primarily. Thank you.
Okay, my name is Babatunde Adebajo. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Yala Technologies Inc. Yala is building the trade desk for African commerce. We're connecting global exporters and manufacturers to the African market. Think of a manufacturer here in Japan looking to expand into Africa, Senegal, Nigeria. You need a partner to help you get distributors, verify these distributors, collect from these distributors, because again, in driving expansion, it comes with compliance risk. We are solving compliance risk for you and collection risk, ensuring that your cash flow is well managed. So Yala is that one single platform connecting global trade to African commerce. Thank you.
My name is Rukayat Bello, and you can call me Madam Grassroots. So I'm a co-founder, CEO of Register. So what we do in Register is we give loans to the micro business owners using agency banking and community model. Thank you.
Thank you so much. ランクはですね、ナイジェリアの人たちがみんなでこうお金を貯めて、自分たちの、セーフティーネットを作ったりとか貯蓄をしたりとかですね、そういう文化を作っていくようなそんなデジタルの、スタートアップやってまして、日本だと昔頼もし港ってなんか沖縄とかであったあれのデジタル版みたいなものをイメージしてもらうのがいいかなと思ってます。でヤラはですね、ナイジェリアの企業こう外貨不足の問題とかもあって簡単にこう国際取引ができなかったりするんですけど、いろんな企業がいろんなものを輸入したり輸出したりしている中でそのお金のトランザクションに関わる、ソリューションを提供しています。で、レギスターはですね、ナイジェリアの街中にこうちっちゃい本当にこうコンビニ、日本でコンビニみたいなちっちゃいこうキオスクみたいなショップがたくさんあるんですけど、そういう人たちいろんなこう資金の課題があるんですけど、そういったところの資金の、お金をですね、解決してあげて、そういったお店の成長をつなげるようなビジネスを、やっているような、そんな会社です。後でちょっと各市場の課題感とかも、分かりやすくちょっと聞いていこうかなと思ってます。Okay, so first question, I'd like to ask why Africa and why now? So a lot of people imagine like Africa is a future opportunity, but I feel Africa is no longer like so driven by the population growth, urbanization, and also tech adoption is totally different, and the consumer power is also growing. So how do you see why Africa and why now your business is fit to the African market?
Thank you, Mr. Kumar. Now, when you think about Africa, when people think about Africa, it's often around thinking about 54 countries, right? But then, Africa is a population of 1.56 or 1.6 billion people that are connected to each other. Now, the 1.6 billion people is going to be about 2.5 billion in by 2050, right? That means currently, Africa has the largest population, right? Now, having the largest or the youngest population, it means you have more consumers, you have more entrepreneurs, you have more spending power, right? So that means the demographic dividend is a major leverage for Africa. Now, the other part is, with this demographic dividend comes mobile inclusion, internet penetration. And with internet penetration, is such that you can create distribution to be able to sell digital products, right? Now, the third level is around the fact that across the African market, there's a lot of policy around being able to connect the market together, which is why the work that Yala is doing is incredible. Because when you look at African trade policy, it ensures that you can trade across multiple African markets. And then I'll tell you another interesting thing. Africa has been able to create a localization, hyper-localization when it comes to how we're able to solve our problem. Think about M-Pesa, for instance, is a classic example. M-Pesa is more like one of the largest payment systems in the world. And when you look at that with the adoption, it makes it interesting that Africa is the next frontier when it comes to being able to leverage on technology for adoption. It's not a market to sleep on. The last leg is around the regulators. Regulators are waking up already. There are a lot of policies that are driving financial inclusion in Africa. So primarily, Africa is going to be the market where everyone will scramble to just make sure that I have a piece of it. Thank you.
How do you think about that?
Okay. By 2035, 1 out of 4 people in the world will be an African. So that tells you the opportunity is massive. Africa's population, like Femi mentioned, is about 1.5 billion right now. And the good thing about that population is the average age of Africa's population is currently 19. That means mobile adoption is growing very fast. And important point to also notice that in Africa today, the mobile penetration is fast outpacing the infrastructure needs to power growth in Africa. So mobile adoption is growing very, very fast. There is internet penetration of up to 60% in the African market right now. All of this, if you aggregate it together, it tells you how much the opportunities in Africa is right now. Like Takuma mentioned, Africa is not the future market. Africa is the market right now. The global trade between Africa and the world is about 1.3 trillion. That's the trade volume, with Japan and Nigeria doing about 8 to 24 billion in trade volumes. With Asia in total, it's about 300 billion. So if you look at that and the fact that you now have a population with average age of 19 growing, they are moving into employment stage. They are now getting more employment, which means more purchasing power for the economy. That tells you that will also drive consumption, drive commerce, drive global mobility. So the way we see it, Africa is the market, and it is important everybody get into Africa right now. Thank you.
All right.
All right.
Madam Grassroots.
Thank you so much for that question. I would say Femi and Adebanjo already answered that question very well. I do not really have much to say. We already know that Africa has a population of 1.5 billion and 1.5 billion people. 19, when it comes to the youngest continent in the world, Africa has it. But what I want to say is, for businesses, for investors who are looking forward to come to Africa, I would say come now, do not come in the future, because you are coming to shape what has already been shaped. You are coming to take the return, the biggest return on investment, or you are also coming to make a greater impact in the continent. Thank you.
If I might just quickly add, one critical point also to note is the credit gap in Africa is huge. Africa does not enjoy a very sophisticated and matured credit system like you have in places like Europe, America, and even Asia. So that's also another huge opportunity. The credit gap in Africa is massive, and those are some of the opportunities we are looking to close in Africa. Thank you.
All right. So let me ask next question. So most of the Japanese people cannot imagine the problem of the Nigerian people. So can you explain about what Nigerian people facing? For example, like Femi, I'd like to ask first question. So for the Nigerian consumers, what kind of the problem they have, and how do you solve the problems?
The first level is being able to be financially included, right? Now, when you think about financial inclusion, it starts from identity. And when you look at identity, it's such that across different markets prior to now, identity system is fragmented, right? So that's the first level. Now, when you don't have identity, you cannot have a bank account. So that means you are not economically included as well. There's a separation between financial inclusion and economic inclusion. That means if you don't have your identity, you don't have a bank account. If you don't have a bank account, I cannot send money to you, right? You cannot save. You cannot invest, right? But then when you look at all of this was 10 years ago. A lot has happened between then and now, which enables a company like us to be able to build. First level is around identity, which has to do with, first in 2012, there was a government policy around cashless economy, where everyone is required to make digital payments. That enables a lot of people to be required to create identity, which gave birth to what we call bank verification number. Now, when you look at the concept of the bank verification number, it's an entry point, because when you have bank verification number, which we call PVN, it enables you to be able to open a bank account, right? Now, the next level after identity is such that The government in Nigeria, for instance, was able to create one of the best payment framework in the world. We call it Nigerian Interbank Settlement System, right? And the essence of that is such that across different banks, when I send money to you, you receive the money instantly, right? Now, that forms the foundation to everything. Now, I'll connect it to the problem that Rank is solving. Prior to starting Rank, the biggest challenge is around being able to actually have access to credit as an individual. And even the other part is the cost of credit, which is a major challenge, right? But then, with all of these infrastructures put together, right, it enables us as a company to be able to build a digital platform that enable families to save money together towards their father's anniversary. It enables communities of people to contribute money together to build a property. It enables friends to be able to save money together for their next trip. It enables communities, cooperative, we call it Mura, it's called Mura in Japanese, where communities, they come together to save together. Now, all of this infrastructure actually enables Rank to be able to build a platform that enables people to do money together. Normally, when you look at other financial services, the focus is on being able to send money individually. But what we focused on is how can we enable you to do money together in groups, basically. So all of these challenges, they were there, but they're being solved for already, both by the regulators and also a lot around the startup ecosystem in Nigeria.
Okay, thank you so much. So, Babatunde, quick answer. So, why? So, question is why the Nigerian company is struggling for the global payment, and why the stablecoin is important for the Nigeria?
So, I mentioned earlier that Africa trades with the rest of the world is about 1.3 trillion. So that tells you the market is a hugely import-dependent market. And just like every emerging market, there is lack of FX, foreign currency, to settle trades. So Nigeria and Africa is not an exception. There is a huge shortfall of foreign currency, basically the US dollar, to settle transactions for a lot of African markets. So we saw that gap for a continent that is trading as high as 1.3 trillion and the lack of FX. So what that means is payments get delayed. FX volatility is something that is always happening. Devaluation of the local currency because of the lack of FX is also a huge problem. So all of this are the problems Yala is solving. So we are basically leveraging stablecoin because, as you might be aware, stablecoin is basically pegged one-to-one to USD. So businesses like Yala is leveraging stablecoin to be able to, one, democratize global payments for a lot of African businesses. One, we're able to shorten the turnaround time to make payments from 3, 4, 5 days. Now we make same-day payments for businesses, and we are also able to reduce the cost from over $100 to less than $20. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So how about so why SMEs, Nigerian SMEs cannot borrow money from the local bank? Please tell us the problems.
All right, thank you so much. I'm going to be saying this because of my personal experience. My mom was not able to access finance some years ago because she had no credit history, no bank account, and no valid ID card. So because of this, her business failed. My mom was not able to access finance because she was geographically disadvantaged. She lived in rural areas. And you will see that the traditional microfinance banks or the commercial banks are not able to access finance to Nigerians or to these people in the local communities because they see them as people who are highly risky. But in register, we do not see these people as people who are highly risky. We see them as African untapped market opportunity. And that was how we founded Register in 2021. If you ask me again, what do we do in Register? We give loans to the micro businesses, which is very quick, easy, and very simple, without asking them to bring their head and tail, without asking them to bring stringent conditions. This is very simple. When our customers come today to collect a loan, they get it on the immediate. Thank you.
そうまさにですね、例えば日本だと、銀行口座作ろうと思って銀行行ったら口座作れるし、外貨に交換して海外取引やったりとか、お金を借りたりとかっていうのが、銀行行ったら多分当たり前にできるっていうのが日本人のイメージだと思うんですけど、そういった機能が、できていないので、まさにそういったものをこうデジタルを通じてスタートアップが作ってるっていうような、現状があります。Alright, this is the end of the session, so please give us some message, just one word from each, so start from Fem.
Is more like three words. Come and invest in Africa. If you don't, you're missing out. Yeah.
Okay, I will say Africa is the next market for you to be in. Japan has a strong history of trade execution and patient capital. I think Africa really needs Japan's trade execution expertise and the patient capital. Thank you very much.
All right. Nigeria is currently going through economic crisis with over 100 million people in abject poverty. Register is not just a business but a movement. If you invest in Register today, you are investing in future where financial inclusion drives poverty reduction and economic prosperity for generations to come. Let's do this together. Thank you.
Right, thank you very much. So please, thank you very much for giving us a lot of great knowledge in the tips for the African market. 皆さん拍手で、お聞きください。ありがとうございます。じゃあこれで、インドとアフリカのセッション終わりたいと思います。これからの成長マーケット皆さん一緒にチャレンジしていきたいと思ってますので、ぜひインドもアフリカも、すごく面白い市場なので、ぜひ一緒に、現地来ていただいてチャレンジできればと思ってます。ありがとうございました。皆さんアンケート、移るのでこれぜひちょっとお答えいただきたいのと、あとこの後ですね、そっちでネットワーキング、やります。インドとアフリカのスピーカーの方々そっちにいますので、ぜひ名刺交換とか、いろんな聞きたいこととかですね、直接聞いていただけたらと思います。